Steam has over 100,000 games, which means there are probably tons of incredible titles nobody's ever heard of. Today, I'm on a mission to uncover a hidden gem by installing and playing 5 completely random Steam games. To pick these games, I'm using a site called Game Gauntlets. They've got a random wheel that pulls from the entire Steam library, so I can land on literally anything. Let's spin the wheel and find our games. The first game we're gonna get is gonna be Davey. Alright, game 2 is The Fabulous Fear Machine. Number 3 is gonna be Tactical Zone. Game 4 is Destroy Simulator VR. Okay, nice. I do have a VR headset, so we can still try that one out. Okay, the 5th and final game is Vitamin Girl. Alright, now that we have our 5 random games, let's check out the first game. Davey, a fun, addictive platform puzzle game. It's got 3 user reviews and it was released on November 6th, 2022. Before we hop on the game, let's read the reviews. Brian Johnson says, the controls are horrible and there are tons of bugs. The Fluffy Panda says, the last stage is broken. This game is actually so bad it made me forget that I was depressed and literally just pissed me off. It's clunky, it controls poorly, they didn't put a cooldown between sound cues. Luckily, you can get all the achievements before the break, but man, I don't think it's worth $2. This wouldn't be a good game if it was free, definitely needing more playtesting before release. Well, those reviews were both from over 2 years ago, so let's hope the game's been updated since then. Alright, let's launch the game. When the game booted up, I hit play and it immediately loaded me into the game. I started running right since that's the only option, being this game is a 2.5D platformer, so you can only move right, left, up, and down. The first couple stages were just a short, easy tutorial showing you how to do the basic movements like jumping, pushing objects, and pressing buttons, which is also apparently enough to get you 3 achievements right off the bat. On the 3rd level, I found out I have the ability to turn invisible, which just allows you to jump farther. This is also the level I came across the first puzzle, which didn't take long to figure out how to complete, but hopefully it gets more challenging going forward. Spoiler alert, it did, but not for the right reasons. On the next level, there's this box I came across that I was able to push off a platform, but I ended up pushing it into the wrong spot. So I had to reset the level and this time push it to the right spot. Well, the game had other plans. This time, the box wouldn't fall off the platform at all. I even reset the level multiple times, but it still wouldn't budge. And unfortunately, you need this box so you can get across this green gas. I'm not sure if this is what the Fluffy Panda meant when he said last stage is broken, but it's where the game broke for me. Couldn't get past the 3rd level because a box you need to pass the level was bugged and wouldn't move. In the game's current state, I don't recommend getting it. Well, the first game definitely wasn't a hidden gem. Let's hope the second one's a lot better. The Fabulous Fear Machine, a narrative-driven strategy game with a pulp horror style. It's got a very positive rating with 452 reviews. It was released on October 4th, 2023, and it cost $18. This one's looking like it might be a decent game. According to KMcKay124, they said, a fun and well-designed game, much like a board game. Interesting but accessible mechanics with excellent stories and visuals. But on the other hand, AR Lid says, other than the theme, this game has nothing good. I did not like the gameplay mechanics one bit. I found them tedious and ultimately boring. Pass. Well, we have some opinions on both sides. Let's find out for ourselves how the game is. Immediately after launching the game, you're greeted with a short video that sets the tone and introduces you to the Fabulous Fear Machine. As the newly appointed master of the machine, your job is simple. Create and spread legends, spooky urban myths, creepy tales, and conspiracy theories to generate fear and influence. The more fear you spread, the more power you gain, which fuels your ultimate goal of domination. So far, I do really like the comic book visuals and soundtrack the game has. It's definitely a cool vibe. After the introduction, I dove right into the tutorial where the game walked me through the basics of how to spread fear and control regions. Essentially, the world map is divided into territories and your mission is to plant fear seeds in key locations. Once the seed is planted, you send your agents to scout out cities and areas within that territory. Once you've identified your targets, you can play your fear cards. These are essentially the legends you create, like spooky stories or urban myths, into those cities to spread fear and start taking control of the region. After finishing the tutorial, I felt a bit overwhelmed. This is one of those games where there's a lot going on, different mechanics, buttons, and systems to manage, and even with the guidance, I still felt lost. It's not entirely a bad thing, I just think the average gamer probably won't have the patience to learn it all. Anyways, I hopped into the first level, and after about 40 minutes of playing, I finally was starting to get the hang of things. but then I failed the mission and I didn't have the patience to restart and play through it all again. The game isn't bad, it has great visuals and sound, and the storyline is pretty interesting. However, it does have a fairly challenging learning curve. Personally, it's not my cup of tea, but if you're someone who enjoys strategy games, you'll probably like this one. Game 2 was decent, but it definitely wasn't a hidden gem. Let's see what game number 3 has to offer. Tactical Zone, an exciting cooperative third-person shooter promising adrenaline and unforgettable moments on the battlefield. Well, I guess I better call up a couple friends to join me since it's co-op. We all hopped on the game, and I started hosting a lobby so my friends can join me. Instead of an unforgettable moment on the battlefield, we got an unforgettable time sitting there trying to get into a game together. My friends couldn't connect to my lobby. They were stuck on a connecting to server page. We sat there and waited for about 10 minutes, but still nothing happened. We even tried switching who was hosting the lobby, and the same thing still happened. At this point, we weren't playing Tactical Zone, we were playing Loading Simulator 2025. After that, I decided to spin the wheel again, hoping to find a new co-op game we could all try. We ended up landing on one called Bear Adventures 2, but I forgot to record a spinning the wheel, so you'll just have to trust me on this one. Anyways, Bear Adventures 2, a parkour platformer game that can be played solo or with up to 4 friends, and it only costs $2. Right off the bat, this game was already better than the last because we could actually load into a game together. We started the first level, and about 2 seconds into the first level, we found out you could kick and kill each other. So we ended up doing that for the first 5 minutes.
Straight up.
We eventually settled down and actually started trying to progress without killing each other. The game's concept is pretty simple. It's just parkour levels you have to get through with things like simple jumps, spinning death blades, spikes, and the occasional animals trying to kill you, which I realize that's probably what the kick button is meant for, not just for trolling your friends with. I eventually got to the end of the first level where you jump into the portal. I'm in a portal. I just gotta sit here and wait.
Oh, this is the screen we just look at?
Yeah, so that's definitely my first complaint for this game. Once you beat the level, you can't spectate your friends that haven't beat it yet. You just stare at this portal screen till everyone gets to it. We played through the next few levels, which weren't too hard, but as with most games like this, it starts off easy and starts to get increasingly difficult the farther you get, which it definitely did for us. On the 5th level, we started to struggle. We died a lot. But eventually, you know what? I'll just play the clip. All right, you got this, bruh.
This is P Bear for the win.
All right, here's the real clip. I got an idea. Watch this.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
I did it. I didn't do it. Oh, I did it!
Yeah.
Although I finally got us past the part we were stuck on, the next part was even harder, and eventually, after a lot more deaths, we decided to just call it quits. Overall, a pretty positive experience, but after an hour, I couldn't bear it any longer. 7.4 out of 10.
This game makes me want to rip my fur out, but the honey is worth it. 7 out of 10.
Starts out simple, gets increasingly rage-inducing, but all in all, a bear-tastic time. 7.1 out of 10.
Honestly, Bear Adventures 2 was a pretty decent game to play with friends. Now let's check out the 4th game. Destroy Simulator VR. Destroy houses and relieve stress, now in VR. It has 0 reviews, was released on February 14th, 2023, and costs $3. Just from watching the trailer, which is painfully laggy and unoptimized, I can already tell this is going to be a janky VR experience. When I loaded into the first level, I spawned in a random room with 2 axes in my hand and a bunch of objects in front of me. No tutorial, no instructions, just me and some weapons. So I did what anyone would do. I started breaking everything in sight. After a while, I guess I destroyed enough stuff to unlock the next level. The next few levels, exact same thing, just different environments. Same items, same mindless destruction, no upgrades, no variety, just breaking stuff until the game decides you can move on. At first, I guess it was kind of fun, but after a while, the janky physics, terrible audio, and constant lag started messing with me. Eventually, the motion sickness kicked in and I had to tap out. This game is incredibly unoptimized for VR. It's laggy, jittery, and the overall experience is rough. That said, it does live up to its name. All you do is destroy stuff. Well, so far we've had 2 bad games and 2 decent games. I'm hoping the last game, Vitamin Girl, is gonna be a hidden gem. Vitamin Girl has a grand total of 9 user reviews. It was released on October 11th, 2017, and it cost $8. Let's hop straight into this one. Right off the bat, the game hits you with lore on what's going on. Once upon a time, a hero named Soda Man brought peace to the world. But then, disaster struck. Coco Man and Coco Girl attacked, using their sinister Coca-Cola powers to turn people into mindless soda monsters. They fought Soda Man, defeated him, and all hope seemed lost, until she arrived. A girl unlike the others, immune to the Coca-Cola infection. Seeing her potential, Soda Man used the last of his strength to pass his powers onto her, transforming her into Vitamin Girl. Now, it's up to her to save the world and take down Coco Man and Coco Girl. Alright, now that we've got that crazy backstory out of the way, let's talk gameplay. Vitamin Girl is a fast-paced runner/platformer where you sprint through levels, jumping, sliding, and dodging obstacles until you reach the finish. Scattered throughout the level are vitamin soda cans, but as far as I could tell, they don't really do anything except give you a reason to 100% the level. The first level was super easy, just basic jumps and slides. Then the second level introduced a new game mode called Vitamin Girl E mode, where you're suddenly on a hoverboard. This level was fairly easy, and I actually did enjoy the hoverboard. It felt nice to control. Level 3 was back to sprinting, but now with some new mechanics like turning directions and sprint jumping across larger gaps. The next stage introduced Vitamin Girl D mode, but this one's a bit different. It gives you full camera control instead of the usual auto run forward facing gameplay. In this level, I was being chased by a big truck. If I didn't parkour my way through the stage fast enough, well, you get flattened. Eventually, I made my way through the next few levels, and I finally reached the first boss fight against Coco Man. To beat him, you have to parkour your way upwards until you can drop down and land on him, unlocking the next part of the level, where you repeat the same process of parkouring upwards and then dropping down on him until eventually you beat the level. Next came stage 5, and this is where everything fell apart. It introduced Vitamin Girl A mode, aka motorcycle mode. And let me tell you, this is where the game decided to go full Dark Souls on me. Up until now, the game has been a little challenging, but overall, it's not too hard. Well, not this level. They made this one so long, and every time you messed up, you're sent all the way back to the start. There's absolutely no checkpoints anywhere throughout the level. I spent probably a good hour failing over and over again until eventually I hit a game over screen, which I never even realized was the thing. At least the game was kind enough to give me a big rage quit button that just instantly closed the game. Fun game, but I think Coco Man won because I'm never beating level 5. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't say any of these games were hidden gems, but if I had to recommend one of them, it would be Bear Adventures 2.